Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nerd Grid. This is B. I'm here with the boy Oasis,
What's up?
and we're here to talk about NF. He's been pretty busy lately.
Yeah, man, he's dropped 3 singles leading up to this new album that's coming out the 26th, and honestly, I've been pretty satisfied with what we heard so far.
Yeah, for sure. He's been really at it lately. He was kind of gone for a couple months, and we didn't hear anything from him. Like, we didn't hear anything about like a new album for 2018, and then like it just got really weird, radio silent from his end.
NF's definitely been kind of like moving in the background lately. You can tell he was just like waiting for the opportunity to drop this. And honestly, like with that first single, The Search, he definitely made a pretty big statement as far as I'm concerned. As far as his return, it's pretty much like an intro without calling it the intro. Like he lets us know that like for the past year he's been going through personal problems. He's been trying to like deal with his anxiety and sort of figure out what to do now that he's blown up. Cause like ever since Let You Down dropped, he's sort of just like been on like this rise that no one's really expected.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been really at it lately. I've really liked his songs so far. Not sure if they're like stronger compared to some of the other albums I've heard, but they're still really good. Like it's definitely shown that he's showing some progression.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like he's kind of holding back a bit. Like the singles are good, like they're good singles, but they definitely don't feel like they're NF at his best. Like When I Grow Up is a pretty good song and it works well for the music video, but I don't think it's like him like really trying. Like it's a fun song, but it's not exactly one that's sort of like up there with some of his best. It's more just like it kind of just feels like one of those singles to sort of just like wet people's appetite before they get like the main course of the album.
Yeah. Like I think out of the three songs that I've heard from him so far, that's been kind of the weakest. It's not bad, but it's not like great. I think the best song that he has so far is Time. I think it definitely fits what he's been doing, what's been on the radio lately for him. It's definitely gonna blow up when it finally hits the radio waves.
Yeah, Time is definitely the one that has the most legs of the 3 singles. Like, it's definitely in the same vein of Let You Down, as far as like the little melodic sort of like sing-songy vibe and the emotion displayed in it. But at the same time, you can tell like NF's not really trying to like chase the dragon, so to speak. He's not really trying to like make another hit. It's sort of just like him working with what he has. And like also, I sort of like to know how, we're getting a little bit more insight on his relationship. It's sort of talking about his marriage, and like he mentions like how like his wife was acting before she got the ring, and like how they sort of bump heads in their relationship. It's sort of like NF's always been personal, but now he's sort of like opening up something new here.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's going on a new wave. Like he's going out of his old tradition while kind of keeping some of the things that got him to the point where he is right now. But he's definitely trying to like experiment with more things lyrically and like, like you said, trying to open up and be someone that you can relate to even more, or kind of just like get more of his story out.
For sure. And like, I guess another thing to note would be like you said, he's sort of working with what he has, as like that sort of shows in the production as well, because like he's keeping that same unique NF sound as far as the production, as far as like the moody instrumentals and like the dramatic beat drops and things of that nature. It's like he's sort of just like keeping, as soon as you hear an NF song, you know it's NF, and right away you can't really like confuse it for anybody else. But at the same time, I was sort of hoping that he's changed it up a little bit and maybe like try out like a new beat or try out sort of like a new flow.
Yeah, I definitely want him to do more collabs too, because I think that will get him to do different things, because not every artist is going to be able to do the same kind of style that he does, and allowing other artists to come in and kind of bring in their influence will definitely help him out a lot, because I really don't want it to just sound like a lot of his other stuff. I really like his stuff, but it can get a little tiring hearing about the same things again and again. I just want something new.
A lot of the times people's main criticism for NF is that he's sort of the same, and like he talks about the same topics. But I think he is switching up a little bit. Like When I Grow Up is definitely different from what he's usually talking about, and so is Time. But I'm hoping that we get a bit more talk about like what he's been going through the past year, because he alludes to it in the search, and like we've gotten a taste of it, but we haven't really learned all we need to know. NF doesn't really share a lot, so it's gonna be interesting to see what exactly he brings out this time.
He's gotten married in the last year, and he seems a little bit happier, or I guess like he's been a little bit more public about that, and like, you know, showing his happiness. His wife's around on social media. Like, he seems like he's been living like a really busy but also like a good life lately. So I definitely want to see him talking about like how good his life has been. Obviously, like the whole thing about NF is that he talks about things that he's going through, but it's also would be really nice just to listen about like the good stuff that's happened for him. And I hope that we see something like that on the album.
I definitely agree, and really, as far as switching things up, I also like to see songs sort of in the vein of Greenlight, as far as like him simply just sort of flexing on a track and just kind of having a go of it on a more aggressive beat, I guess I'd say.
He's definitely like gotten more, like, I guess I would say more confident, because I think he's playing it up a little bit to make it seem like he's cocky, but he's more a little bit of more confidence and, you know, trying to like kind of flex on the track. Obviously you can't be confident in a track without looking a little bit, you know, cocky and such. I think he definitely knows what's going on for him, and like he wants people to know that, hey, you know, I'm this. And ever since he finally got on like the mainstream radio last year, things have been looking really good for him. Because I know beforehand, the only single that I've heard personally on a Christian radio front was one of his from like a couple years ago, from Mansion. And since then, he has not had a single at all on any of those radio stations. And I think the thing about it is that NF is a lot more negative, while these radio stations try to be a little bit more positive and they like want to encourage you, while NF is kind of like the opposite of that. Like, he gives like the real stuff about life, and that could be an issue. And that, I think that's been the thing that's been holding him back from that. But obviously he's been flourishing on the mainstream radio front, and I'm like happy for him. I want to see people finally like figure out who this guy is.
NF's a very interesting story in that regard, really, because he's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He has a big fan base, but then a lot of the big hip-hop heads, if you ask them about NF, they either don't really know him, or they just know he's the guy who did Let You Down. But then when you look at the charts, his last album, Perception, beat Lil Pump in the charts. He was the #1 rap album that week, and like people are really supporting him. So like he has this big like cult following, and so they're all just gathering around this persona that he has. And in a way, I guess him sort of not really being mainstream is what catapulted him into the mainstream. Everyone wants to know more about him. Everyone wants to be in on this little group that he has.
I think the big thing that NF has done really well is that he has built up a loyal fan base. Because a lot of mainstream artists have like people who casually listen to them and obviously will support their tracks. But when you get those diehard fans or those more dedicated fans, that's when you see a lot of those numbers go up. I think that's what's been happening, because like you said, he's everywhere but nowhere at the same time. He has a very loyal fan base, but his casual base hasn't really gone up, but is about to, I feel like. With Let You Down, he's like finally picking up those fans that he needs in order to really become a mainstream star.
Yeah, just looking at the numbers for these past 3 singles, you're seeing like 11 million, you're seeing 6 million, you're seeing these big numbers, and he's getting on the trending page each time. I think he did 55,000 last album. I'm thinking we might see like 70K, 80K, something akin to like what we'd see with Logic these days. He definitely has, the fan base is coming out and they're supporting him, and he's just building up a lot of momentum. And if you look at Time, like Time's climbing up faster than all of the other singles, I think. Like it's currently at 7 million. It only came out on the 12th, I believe.
Yeah, it's only been like 4 days, so that's crazy.
I think he's priming himself to get like not even just a #1 rap album, but maybe like a top 3 album on the charts in general when this drops.
Actually, when it's going to drop, it's dropping next week, which is crazy, right? I think yeah, it is dropping next week on Friday, I believe. And the good thing about it is that he's not making us wait that long. I think he barely started coming out with singles last month, and like the album's already coming. So I think that's also helping out with his momentum.
This was definitely a very fast album rollout, and I think these days that's what you need to do. Had it just been like he's kept us like entertained with a few singles here and there to sort of just help us wait in the meantime. But now that he's able to drop everything, he's kind of just going for it. Like we're getting a single like every 2 weeks and a music video with it. And it's just really, really helping him build up hype. And I think it's especially needed considering the 26th is going to be one of the busier times for rap as far as albums concerned. So I guess he just, at this point, he needs that momentum if he wants to make sure that he edges out both of them.
And it's the perfect time of the year too. Like we're reaching the end of the summer and like falling back into fall and obviously the winter. So people are going to want to start listening to stuff now. And, you know, all those songs that get really popular at the end of the summer end up being really big hits towards the end of the year. So I really hope that he gets a really big single, maybe even a number one. You never know. Like at least on Spotify, I could see it, at least for the first couple days. I don't know how well some of his songs might do. We haven't listened to them all, but I at least hope something like Time will get that number, but you never know.
It all comes down to just exactly how his fans are going to go out and buy that album. He has one of the most dedicated fan bases there is. I think everyone's really wanting to support him this time around. The numbers are definitely bigger compared to the last album run. And if he keeps up this pace, I don't doubt that he'll see that top 10 or maybe top 5. Let You Down, I think, peaked at 14. If he can, and now that he has an even bigger fan base than that, if we can just pick one of those singles and just push it up, specifically Time, there's no way it just won't make it.
Yeah, I really hope so. He definitely deserves it. He's been at it. Sucks that we couldn't get an album from him last year, but it seems like all that effort is going into this year's album. And once we get that, we're going to be talking about it here on the channel. So stay tuned. But before we end, you know, what are your final thoughts about this, Oasis? Like, what is your dream album from NF?
I'm hoping we get one of his most personal albums, really. I think he tells a lot of personal things, but at the same time, he's very reserved at the same time. He's keeping certain things to himself. I'm hoping that we kind of see him open up more and just really show off his storytelling. I don't want to force him to do another How Can You Leave Us or sort of bring him into that dark place, but we can sort of see more into the mind of NF instead of just him being this mysterious personality at times, because he'll give us drops of information, but he doesn't full on tell all the stories. And I think if we can if these singles are maybe at least something like Time, I keep on mentioning that song, but it's so good. If we can sort of see more insight like that, then this will definitely be his best album yet.
Yeah, personally, I'm hoping to see stuff more like Time, more collabs, more ways for him to kind of push himself into different directions, while obviously keeping that personal aspect, but also building on it musically, because he has it. He just needs to grow a little bit and really show the world that he is advancing as an artist. We can see his growth. He just needs to go out and do it now. All right. That's been Oasis and I. We're here talking about music every 2 weeks or so. The next video will probably be on NF's next album. If not, it will be one of our future uploads. Anything you want to say before we head off, Oasis?
I'm just very much looking forward to talking about it. I'm really looking forward to this series in general. We really hope to get down into the albums and just the tracks in general and just really sort of dissect everything. So hopefully you enjoyed this and hopefully you enjoy what we have in store.
And if you want to check us out on social media, we'll have all the links in the description below. Please be sure to subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. You guys already know what to do. Please give us a ton of support. You guys have already been doing that a lot, but just the more amount of support that we get, the more amount of content we're able to provide you guys. And with that, we'll see you guys later. Peace out.